Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Lighthouse Sessions. And today I'm really excited. I have my friend Rich Beyer with me. Rich, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then we'll go talk about your entrepreneurial journey as well.
Who I am and what I do. Okay, that's about as broad as you get. Um, so I live here in New York City. I've been here for the past 30 plus years. What I do for a living is I'm a brand designer. I work with small businesses, that's by choice, small businesses that are in some sort of transition. Either they're a startup or maybe the kids are taking over for the parents, or maybe somebody's coming and buying the business outright, or maybe they're just restructuring. Maybe they found that one of their lanes was really the big revenue producer. So that's what I work with. People who are committed to their growth as a professional. And I send my clients to the streets as the 3 Ps. That is a polished professional presence. Working with me, they'll name the company if they're in need of that. Then will come the logo. From there will come the website, and business cards, whatever they need, so that they really look and fit the part.
I love it. And I can say personally, I've seen the logos you design. And one of the things I see a lot, people go on Fiverr and they get the, oh, this is triangle or this rectangle or this circle, and there's my logo. Yours are the extreme opposite of that. You manage to tell a story in one little piece of real estate. And I think that's fascinating.
Thank you. The logo. A lot of people confuse the logo with their brand. We'll talk more about the brand, but the logo is a component of the brand. It's a really important component of the brand, but a component nevertheless. And that being said, the logo has to contain, in a very tiny amount of real estate, it has a lot of weight on its shoulders. So it's got to convey the look and feel. It's got to be consistent. It's got to be different from what's out there. And it's got its job cut out for it. I'm a fan of the logo, but I'm also a fan of not screwing with the logo. I just did a blog piece last month on Mercedes, and shame on them, because they've taken that fabulous 3-pointed star logo of theirs.
Oh yeah.
And on one of their newer models, the ornamentation on the grill are a bazillion little Mercedes stars.
Oh, really?
So, and then I walked around to the back of the car, and the taillights were comprised of the Mercedes star. And I just thought, what a great way to water down your fabulous logo. A taillight, something that you can go to the corner auto store and pick up.
Yeah.
Obviously not a Mercedes one, but I just thought, it's kind of making the logo do a lot more than it should.
And I think that's the lessons I'm learning from you, is logos in the right place and doing the right things. Let's talk about you as an entrepreneur, because as typical of the people I hang out with, you have your day business and you have a side hustle. And by the way, I think that's one of my new criteria for podcast guests is, are you focused on one thing or do you have multiple? Do you want to tell us a little bit about your book project as well?
Sure. I'd love to. And given any opportunity. So my mom had a Yiddish word or phrase for everything. And I don't, this was just a part of my upbringing, like you learn English words because they're repeated and whatnot, or whatever words are of your language. These Yiddish words were a part of that fabric, if you will, of my upbringing. Fast forward, mom gets Alzheimer's and loses the ability to speak. And it occurred to me at some point during that time that if I didn't get these words out of my head, that they were going to get lost with me. I started keeping a list on my phone. I thought I had about 15 or so. The book is 196 pages. I've given each word a 2-page spread. So the way it works is I give you the word, I give you my understanding of the definition, I give you the phonetics so you can understand how to say it. And I'm also a street photographer, by the way. We didn't talk about that, but I've been a street photographer forever. So what I did was I, through the encouragement of a very brilliant colleague, I took one of my photographs and paired it with each word. So each page is a 2-page spread, combining my Yiddish knowledge or understanding or lack thereof with my photography. And it's just a fun romp through all that, through these words that I remember. And it's not, it's light. The F-bomb gets dropped a couple times, appropriately so.
Not gratuitous. It is.
No. You can. There's such a fine line. That's not true. There's most times the F word is used gratuitously. So here's a little something I'll veer off real quickly. I used to do stand up, and I had a regular Saturday night slot here in New York City, and I never cursed because I felt that cursing was a very gratuitous way of getting laughs, and I just wanted to know if I was funny. Vagina is a very funny word, and if you say the word vagina and penis, you'll make people laugh because all of a sudden you've gotten them a little uncomfortable. But that's not what my humor was about. My humor was about funny. I wanted to know if I could be funny for being funny and not for saying things like vagina and penis. So, yes, the F-bomb is dropped, but not gratuitously.
And Rich just single-handedly destroyed my PG-13 rating on the podcast.
Oh, that's not true. Now, if I said the C word,
I'm kidding.
If I said the C word or the C word for either of them, I guess.
So when you put Rich and I together, you're going to get the straight goods, raw goods, whatever you want.
Usually there's an adult in the room with us.
Today, no.
No. Where is Janine when you need her?
Usually we're supervised by our friends Janine and Crystal. They're not here today, so anything that happens is totally on them, not us. We're not responsible.
Yeah, what he said.
Love you, ladies. Okay, so Rich, tell me, you are obsessed. So what I know about you, number one, you're obsessed with cars.
Oh yeah.
Number two, you're obsessed with street photography.
Yeah.
And three, and I don't know if it's that order, but I know you're also obsessed with comedy and branding. I love that very unique blend. Now, you once described yourself, I think the word I'm going to get it wrong, but you said something about you were the accidental or the reluctant entrepreneur. You woke up one day and you're like, oh my God, I run a business.
The accidental. Reluctant. Very briefly, I had a business prior to this in a whole other industry. So this was a change of career for me. And the whole idea of doing this was to get a job because I had been freelance. And, timing is everything. And I spent a boatload of money on equipment and software and hardware and courses and this is that. Got my shingle out there in 6 weeks after I started doing all this to get a job. The .com bubble burst. And there were no jobs. There was nothing.
No hope of jobs, not even just no jobs.
Oh my God. It was like when the coyote runs off the cliff and he's still like, his feet are still moving and until he realizes that he's off the cliff. That's what it felt like. How did we get there?
I asked how you became the
right. So here I am now in an industry that I know nothing about and have no experience in And it was like, I was just doing whatever I could to survive. And yeah, and that's how I started to realize like I was the accidental entrepreneur. And yeah, that sucked. That sucked. I was like, I had a whole look going on. I had a whole thing in my head. I was going to be in this cool office. I was going to wear cool clothes. I was going to, get a paycheck. That was the big part, the paycheck. And that never happened.
I love it. And I think that's the key. I know you well enough to say this with love. You are as unemployable as I am. I mean, seriously. I can't picture, I don't know what I can picture least. You in a boardroom or me in a boardroom going,
Oh,
yes,
no.
sir, whatever you say,
The
sir.
only thing I would be doing in the boardroom is like picking up the candy after the meeting is over or something like that. No.
I love it. Now,
I've had jobs. I actually had a job, but that was in the first career.
Yeah.
So, but that was, yeah, I had a job.
Well, I think that's the whole point of these episodes and these conversations is I want to celebrate the fact that a lot of people will say, I hear a lot, oh, you're an entrepreneur. Sorry, I didn't know you were unemployed. And it's like, wait, no, I'm unemployable, but that doesn't mean I'm unemployed.
Yeah, what you said.
And I think there's a lot of miscommunication, and
I'm employable. Just let me do it my way. That's
I'm
all.
employable as long as you agree to let me be the boss and tell you what to do.
I feel like you're getting a lot for your money, right?
Yeah, it's like, do you want me to water the ideas down too, or do you want it full and people always ask me for the sugar-coated version, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have that setting. I'm sorry. If I see you going off the cliff like the coyote, I'm going to say, hey, the cliff is there. Are you sure you want to do that? Now, if you insist on going over, I'm going to be there to say, I told you so. That's why I don't work well in boardrooms anymore, because I reserve the right to say, I told you so.
Nah.
Or in this case, meet.
Yeah, no, no, not gonna, no.
I always thought the Roadrunner was obnoxious, by the way. But anyways,
I loved the coyote. You gotta, first of all, this is how much I love the coyote, that I have the coyote here.
Awesome.
Okay, and do you know what he's sitting on? He's sitting on the rocket.
Nice. Is that a hood ornament that you?
It is a hood ornament. But this is how I feel. Like, this is my life. Like, I feel like I'm strapped onto that rocket and I'm just going for this ride, man. But the coyote never gave up.
Yeah.
He
was an entrepreneur. I'm like, he always found a new way to do something, and
always order it from Acme.
Yeah. He had his number one preferred. He probably got a bulk discount from Acme and got preferred terms.
If you think about it, Acme was the Amazon of its day.
Yeah.
It was the original Amazon.
If we dive deep, I bet Bezos watched that as a kid and went, he always gets it delivered right when he needs it, where he needs it. I can do that.
Somewhere, since I moved, I don't know where things are, but I have my Acme product catalog.
I feel like you could do a rebrand for them, but their branding is epic and memorable.
Oh no. There's certain things you just don't touch.
Yeah.
What if we did the Coca-Cola logo not in script? You just, no, you just certain things. Green for Coca-Cola logo. Yes.
Yeah. What if we threw in some softer tones? they literally rebranded Christmas to be Coke colors. So, let's not mess with that iconic branding.
People don't and I said, why do you think Santa? Have you ever noticed that Santa's red is the same as Coke's red?
I learned that and I went, So let's talk about marketing blunders for a minute, because I know you love to rant about those. What do you think is the biggest marketing blunder that you've seen? And we can pick on any marketing blunder that hits your radar, but what have you cringed at?
Of late?
Of late or all time? I know you like to rant about new Coke, old Coke, Coke classic.
That's old school, and everyone will go for that. That's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Buick's logo. Buick had this shield, this three paneled shield in a circle forever, and it looked like a shield. You knew exactly what it was. They took the circle away and they separated the three elements, so now you just got these three things. It looks like like three disparate things. The first time I saw it, I thought, oh, is this a new Chinese brand that's making its way over here? And then I saw Buick, and I'm like, whoa. So, things like that, I just don't understand. Why you guys screw with that? Why'd you gotta touch that? Why'd you have to touch that? Why'd you have to play with it? Or according to my book, why'd you have to putchkey with that?
Well done. Now, I know you deal with a lot of transitioning businesses. What's the number one mistake you see when new owner takes over and old owner is leaving? What comes up in your mind a lot as, the sacred that we shouldn't mess with?
Well, look, it depends. Now, are you continuing in a similar vein that the original business was run? In that case, massage the logo, update it a little bit, modernize it, contemporize it, make it a little bit more contemporary, but don't change it. Don't change it altogether, because all of a sudden your loyal base is going to freak out. Yeah. They're going to think that, Martians came in and abducted the owners, and that's it. The end of their favorite hoo-has, whatever they go to you for in the first place.
Yeah.
No, you got to be, look, your market, without your market, it's just a hobby. And once you alienate your market, you're in hobby status. The market is a very fickle place, and the market doesn't like upheaval.
Yeah.
The market does not want upheaval. When the first time I walked into a Trader Joe's, not knowing, and realized that it was all their brand, I stopped and walked out because I knew that I was going to have to go in there with a mindset ready to relearn a food store.
Mm-hmm.
So that if I'm going for pasta, I'm not going for that same blue package if I'm going for this, I'm not going for that XY package.
Oh yeah, you have to completely learn an entire new vocabulary.
Exactly. So that was daunting for me at the beginning. The autism in me was like, oh no,
I've been there.
And I actually went one night when I had time. I wasn't shopping.
Yeah.
Just to walk the aisles.
Just to learn the.
Oh, they have like one of everything in here, don't they?
Yep. I love it. And by the way, my favorite branding, I don't know, I blame Jeff Foxworthy for this, but I can't hear Piggly Wiggly without laughing my ass off.
Who would name a store that in the first place?
I don't know what the branding they were going for was. I don't know what their theme was, but now it would be almost impossible to change it. Like it just.
What's the one in Jersey? Wawa or something?
There's a few strange ones.
Wah. I mean, why name your store as a retort? Last thing I wrote this in the first book. The last thing you want is for your business to become a meme.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Rich, I'm going to share. I have a sick sense of humor, and I blame it on the spectrum. But we have a brand here. It's called OK Tires, and I'm like, was Matt taken? It's like we're okay. We're not the best. We're not the worst. But
We'll get you from point A to point B
most of the time. I was like, wow, they really didn't, like their mom didn't love them enough or something. It was just
very low bar in that house.
Yeah. Again, I'm sure there's a world's greatest tires, but this one was just okay.
It was okay enough.
Yeah. And I feel bad because if they ever did a customer survey, I could never rate them higher than okay. I just literally, I couldn't.
They're a C company. That's it.
Like you're a straight C. Way to go.
Going for average. Going for for this in the standard deviation thing. Yeah.
You're like right on the mean or the middle or whatever. You get an ATA. You don't even get a full attaboy, attagirl. You just get ATA.
Well, normal. Normal.
Yeah.
You're normal. Yay, you're normal.
You're the vanilla of tire company. Right in the middle of flavors. Nobody's going to complain. Nobody's going to celebrate. You're just there. All right, Rich. I could talk to you all day, and often I have. For those who are watching, anybody who's crazy enough to make it this far is crazy enough to hang out with us.
Sugar.
Yeah, they're mensch. What was the word? No, I won't get you to show the pictures of the words that I laughed my butt off. How can people get a hold of you? Where do they go to get to know Rich a little better?
Go to my website. That's the easiest place. richbuyer.com, just like it sounds. RICH, B as in boy, UYER, like someone who spends money. No, this is not a joke. This is not my stage name. This is really what they named me.
His parents had either premonition or sense of humor. I can't tell which, but
neither.
Okay, they were the broken clock that got right twice a day, right?
Listen, I was brought up as Richard. No one got the whole Rich Buyer thing.
Well, you did a rebrand and it worked, right?
I'm still working on it. All these years later.
I love it. Now,
my hair's gone white in the meantime, but
where can they go to get a copy of your book, please? If you'd hold it up one more time.
Yes, I would love to hold it up one more time. Well, they can. There's a site for the book. It's called Chiamschmerril.com, because the book is called Marge's Yiddish, as recalled by Chiamschmerril. Chiamschmerril is like a pejorative term of endearment, like kind of like snot nose or shithead, and that's what she used to refer to me. Let's go Chiamschmerril. So you can go to Chiamschmerril.com. CHIAM.
I'll spell it in the show notes. You don't
SCHMERRIL. Chiamschmerril.
Love it.
If you bring up a loogie when you say it, you're doing it right.
If you got to wipe down somebody else's hat, just said it right. Awesome. Well, Rich, I could talk to you all day. Is there anything that you wish I would have asked you that I didn't and you'd like to answer before we wrap up?
I'm working on losing my virginity, but that's a whole nother conversation. So
awesome. Well, Rich, thank you for hanging out with me and for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just always playtime when we get together. Thank you.
Thank you.